The famous image of African-American flood victims lined up to get food and clothing at Red Cross Relief Station, in front of a billboard ironically extolling world's highest standard of living. There's no way like the American way in 1937. Coffee Shop 1981, Toronto, Canada. Ice Bridge and the American Falls, Niagara, New York, circa 1883. A young woman playing a harp to a large crowd, Rock of Cashel, Ireland, ca. 1910. Crusader graffiti in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, Jerusalem, 11th-13th centuries. Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake, USA, 2001. Ratcatcher shows his bounty in the town square, Louisa, Kentucky, 1953. One of the earliest photos of a shelter for immigrants in New York City, 1888. Scout car crew of 6th Duke of Connaught's Own Lancers, Indian Armored Corps, chat with youngsters in San Felice during the advance towards the River Sangro, 1943. The 56th Punjabi Rifles, an infantry regiment of the British Indian Army posing with the Sphinx in Egypt during World War I. An Indonesian sailor from the Dutch East Indies shakes hands with an African sailor from French West Africa in Vlissingen, the Netherlands, the 11th of May 1940. Amish men being booked into a Pennsylvania jail for refusing to send their children to high school, 1955. In 1980, Barack Obama smoked while attending college, image courtesy of Lisa Jack. A man riding a motorcycle in 1938. And Fenton having a drink in the bar of the Hotel Marazion in Cornwall, England, with her grey mare Anita. Crewmen unload the Gadget, the nickname for the first atomic bomb, and prepare it for final assembly soon before its historic test detonation on July 16, 1945 in the Jornada del Muerto desert of New Mexico. Lightning striking the Eiffel Tower, June 3, 1902, at 9:20 p.m. Man in electric chair at Sing Sing Correctional Facility, New York, one of 614 condemned to death in this chair circa 1900. Allowed Ben Abdallah attempting to assassinate the French-appointed Sultan Mohammed Ben Arafah by stabbing, September 11, 1953. Seats of an airplane, 1930. Diane Lane in the 1980s. Clint Eastwood in Dirty Harry, 1971. Little Girl in New York, 1947. My Dad working in the radio in Dominican Republic, early 70s. Frank Zappa in his Los Angeles home with his dad Francis, his mom Rosemary, and his cat in 1970, photographed by John Olson. Illuminated tires developed by Goodyear but were never mass-produced, 1961. Aerial view of timber blowdown, destroyed by the May 18th eruption of Mount St. Helens in Skamania County, Washington, on June 8, 1980. Hippies outside the Apple Boutique, a retail store on Baker Street, London, circa 1967. Child announcing the Titanic disaster, 1912. Wedding day in the early 1970s. The Holt gas-electric tank, the first prototype tank built in the United States from 1917-1918. Muslim SS unit formed in 1943 in Bosnia. 13th Waffen-SS Handschar. Samurai pose in front of the Sphinx, 1864. Workers of Smalfeldstobuxcompagni, Aarhus, Denmark, late 1880s tobacco industry. Chetniks, Ustash, and Croatian Home Guard celebrating newly signed agreement that will unite them in a fight against Yugoslav partisans. Women traying shoes on Delancey St. New York, 1943. Chief designer of Soviet space program Sergei Korolev with a space dog, 1960. Andy Warhol paints a butterfly on the leg of American actress Lee Taylor Young in a New York nightclub in 1968. Soldiers lift up an inflatable rubber dummy tank during WW2 England ca. 1939. Logging family with a 1,300-year-old tree, 1892. A geisha after washing her hair and before styling it in 1905. Albert Wilson, the last survivor from the Civil War, he passed August 2, 1956 to Louvre, MN. BRDD Italian stormtroopers wield their daggers, 1918. Collecting golf balls, 1920s. Before the smartphone, 1983. A rare photo of a traffic accident in the Netherlands more than 100 years ago. The photo was taken in 1914. Dinner at the Drive-In Movie Theater, 1952. A young West German girl points at a large hole in the Berlin Wall, 1989. West Germany photograph, Reuters. William Church House at 10th 1895190. Memphis rock band Big Star parting hard. Swedish tourist M3s terrified of Guardia Civil Spain 1969. Janis Joplin and B.B. King on stage at the Newport Folk Festival, Rhode Island 1968. Boy standing in front of fallen statue of Lenin, Ethiopia 1991. Louis Cowlin, a Frenchman known for his 11-foot, 3.3-meter-long beard, pictured with one of his cats, 1904. A Coca-Cola delivery truck in 1921. A gigantic man in a New York tavern, 1908. 1950s road soda. The band Kiss with their parents, 1976. A photo of Bonnie Heim with her husband and son, taken before she disappeared in 1993 at the time. Her 3-year-old son claimed that his father killed her, but no one could prove his story. 20 years later, while renovating their home, the son discovered his mother's remains buried in the backyard. Dolly Parton in the 1970s. Talwaiho, the Maori King of New Zealand, December 1897. Grand Central Terminal, NYC, the sun can't shine through like that now due to the surrounding tall buildings. 1929. A federal agent inspects a lumber truck after smelling alcohol during the Prohibition period, Los Angeles, 1926. Charlie Sheen and Willem Dafoe, 1986. James Dean, 1950s. A burned-out giant Sequoia, California, August 7, 1948. Hawaiian Frankfurter platter from 1974. Little Asian girl talking on the phone, Japan 1958. Lunch atop a skyscraper is a black and white photograph taken on September 20, 1932, of 11 ironworkers sitting on a steel beam of the RCA building, 850 feet 260 meters above the ground during the construction of Rockefeller Center in Manhattan, New York City. A woman rides her bike while balancing to buckets of milk, Netherlands, mid-1940s. WW1 Navy recruiting poster. Here is a photo of a young girl in a goat cart in Central Park, 1875. Children reading a newspaper, 1940.